Hi everybody, Leo Babauta from Zen Habits here. Really happy to be here with you today. I'm going to talk about equanimity, which is this kind of inner peace, no matter what's going on in the world around us. And I'd like to talk about how I've been practicing with it lately because I think that there might be some useful things in here that you could practice to develop this kind of inner Zen-like state of equanimity and peace. So if that's something that you want, let's dig into that. First, let's talk about what creates like the opposite. What makes us feel riled up and like not peaceful, not have that inner state of equanimity. And we don't often notice it actually, but we can tell that it's there. This kind of like inner state of like disruption and attachment and like tightness and when we're feeling certain emotions. So one is frustration with someone else or ourselves or a certain situation. So frustration, anger, resentment, sadness. Nothing wrong with any of these emotions, by the way. These are just emotions, but they are also indicators that there's something going on inwardly. We're feeling sadness. Anxiety is a big one. Overwhelm. If we're procrastinating, we're usually feeling overwhelm and anxiety. Fear. Um, what else is there? Yeah, these are some of the ones. So if we're feeling any of this stuff, that means that we're not in a state of like balanced equanimity. Balance would be like I'm just upright, but I'm not like falling, I'm not running around, I'm not like, any of this stuff. I'm not like trying to hold myself up. I'm just upright and just kind of perfectly balanced. That's equanimity. So I'll give you an example of how I'm practicing with my own life so that you can see what I'm talking about, why we don't have equanimity and how we get it. So for me, there's like someone else in my life who I'm like, oh, I don't like it when they're this way, right? I want them to be more positive and less negative and complainy. This is not, in my marriage, by the way. I'm talking about someone else who I love dearly, but so they are like negative and complainy and victimy and all of these things, and I notice I don't like that, and so I want them to be more positive, and so I might give to from that place of wanting them to be more positive. I might feel frustration with them. I might be like, ah, I can't be around this person. Or I might be like, oh, I need to help them to be more positive. Like, have you looked at the silver lining? Or what about this perspective? Or whatever it is. And all of that is coming from a place of, I don't like the way they are, and I need to control them. I need to change them. What I realize when I use that word control is that is actually what's happening. I don't like the way that they are, and I need to change them, and therefore I need to control them. And we don't like to think of ourselves as controlling people, but that is what is happening. I don't like the way they are, and I need to change them. Tell them you need to be different, or I need to avoid them because I can't be around someone who's going to be like that, or I need to tell them a new perspective so that I can control them. And that isn't how I want to be. So I notice myself wanting to control them by changing them, by giving them good advice so they could change, right? But that's controlling. It's a subtle form of controlling rather than like you're not allowed to see so and so or go out and so or wear such and such. That's kind of the more obvious controlling kind of ways we can be in a relationship, but we're doing it all the time in more subtle ways. Subtle doesn't mean better. It just means harder to see, right? So I'm trying to be controlling with this other person. Now it's not working. They're just still being themselves, still having emotions, but I'm trying to control it because I don't like the way that they are. And so that is the key there. I don't like the way that they are, and therefore I want to control them. And that's a simple example, but we're also doing it for ourselves. I don't like the way I am, and I need to control myself. I don't like the way that I have been being, and so I need to control myself. And then we do it for the world around us, whether it's in the immediate situation that we're in right now, or like our community or our nation or the world. It's like, I need to change the whole world. I know someone who, when they drive, they're basically trying to like, they're mad at all the other drivers who aren't driving perfectly. Um, well, who drives perfectly, right? They're mad at all the other drivers and they're like, these people need to change. And I'm like, good luck with that. Go and change every driver so they drive perfectly. So that is just an example, though, because we're all doing that in the world around us. They need to change the way that they are. And there's some truth to that, right? Like it would be great if people were less bigoted and less all of these things, right? And I'm committed to working towards that world, but we want to change and control the world around us because we don't like it. That is what causes us to be out of the state of equanimity. And so for me, if I can just allow that person who's, in my head negative, that's the label that I put on them, and complainy and victimy and all of these things. If I can just allow them to be who they are, allow them to be who they are right now, they're not always negative, actually. There are a lot of different things, but in this moment, they're feeling some things and they're using the method of complaint in order to deal with their frustration and anxiety. So, could I just allow that to be? Now, of course, that always brings up the question, well, do we just allow everybody to be assholes and like hurting other people and all of that? We'll get to that. We're not talking about allowing bad things to happen in the world or never trying to make positive change. We're talking about in this moment, could I allow them just to be who they are, how they are? Could I allow myself to be how I am? Could I give myself permission just to be how I am right? Maybe I'm feeling complainy about them. Maybe I'm feeling victimy about this person is always negative. Maybe I'm feeling negative about their negativity. Could I allow that to be? And not just in this situation, but always. Could I always allow myself to be how I am? Could I allow the situation I'm in to be as it is and the world to be as it is? If you can do that, you start to become in the state of equanimity and balance. So I'll talk about that with this one person. So when I'm with this one person, I might notice, oh, I don't like the way they're being, and I want to control them. If I can notice that, then all the rest becomes possible. It's the linchpin, the key to be able to like do any of this work. I don't like the way they're being, and I want to control them. Okay, okay, okay. Can I notice what that brings up in me? Ooh, it brings up this like anxiety and frustration and a tightness in my body. Ah, right? And I want to like do something to change them, tell them or get away from them or whatever. And then I just stop and I breathe. And I just allow myself to just relax, relax all of the muscles that are tightening up. And then I say, I don't need to control them. What if I just let them be? They're fine the way they are. Let them be how they are. Let myself be how I am. And I just relax. And in that moment, I'm in a state of balance. I don't need anything to change for me to be happy and content. I don't need the world or this other person or myself to be any different, just as it is. They don't need to be any different than they are. And then in the next moment, I might say, is there something I can appreciate about them? Something I could be grateful, like, oh, I can really appreciate that they care enough. Like they could be apathetic, right? They could be stoic and just be like, meh, whatevs. The world is how it is. Fine. I don't care. But they're not. This person cares a lot. And they're like, I care so much. I'm ready to like rip people's heads off. Okay. Me too. In that way, we're alike. We both care a lot. They also might be feeling some fear and anxiety. Ooh, I can have some compassion for that. I know what that's like. I'm feeling fear and anxiety too. Okay, okay. We're brethren here. We have some commonalities, and I can just appreciate that about them. And as I do so, I'm not only in a state of balance, but a state of compassion, maybe even love. And I practice that with this person, but also every person. And when I can remember, right? I practice it with a situation that I'm in, a meeting or a work task I'm doing, answering my emails, out for a run, in a conversation, reading the news. I can do the same thing. And I practice it with myself, just allowing myself to be as I am. Now, there are things we can do that we can choose to do once we're in this state. We can actually choose, instead of controlling them, I can choose to love them, have compassion for them. I can choose to listen to them. I can choose to give them some information, like some feedback, how that feels to me. I can choose to go and do something else. I have choice. Just because I allow them to be as they are doesn't, and not control them, doesn't mean I can't do something. And maybe the most compassionate thing is just to like give them a hug. But I could also set a boundary and say, hey, I love listening to you, but I can do it for 5 minutes. If you can vent and complain and all of that stuff for 5 minutes, and then like I don't have the capacity to do more than that. So set a boundary. That's a choice. It's not controlling them. They can keep being complainy and negative, but I don't have to choose to be there and listen to them. So that's not me controlling them. It's me deciding what I want to do if they don't change. And we can just imagine they don't ever have to change. We don't ever have to change. And we can do the same thing in the world around us. Yeah, I can allow the world to be as it is, and I can choose to act in a way that isn't controlling, but that is like in alignment with how I want to be. Maybe I want to like be compassionate with others, or go out and volunteer, or be a listening ear to someone, or love people and go out and love and love and love and see what happens. So I don't have to control or change the world, but I can choose how I want to show up, what actions I want to take, how I can navigate through the world as it is in as an intentional way as I can. Okay, go out and practice some equanimity. Let me know how it goes. Put in the comments how it goes for you, any questions you have, what you found valuable. I'd really love to hear from you. Give this video a like if it was helpful. It really helps others to find this. Share it with others who could use some Zen habits in their lives. And please subscribe. I'd love for you to be a part of the Zen Habits community here on YouTube. Thanks, my friends. I'm Leo. I'll talk to you later.